and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. My name is Sean Collins, and I am the Public Information Officer with California Interagency Incident Management Team 4. We was assigned to the Modoc July complex of fires yesterday. So today is what we call a transition day, and what that means for us is that we are transitioning from the old management team that was in place to us, and there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. So bear with us on certain things, but first off, I'd like to say thank you to our host today for the Elks Lodge. We really appreciate this great facility. We do have some coolers in the corner there with some iced down water. If you want some water, please help yourself to that. We are going to go through a couple of speakers and give you an update on the fires, but before I do that, I'd just like to recognize some people in our audience. Some of them you'll know, some of them are behind you, you can't see right now. But we have Ken Kestner, Lake County Commissioner. We also have Dan Shaun, Lake County Commissioner. And we have Coley Neitler from the Lakeview Ranger District. I'm probably pronouncing these names wrong, and I really sorry about that. Where's Coley?
He had to go to a fire.
So Coley's left. Forget Coley. Yeah. And then we have Dennis Lee. He is the district forester for the Klamath Lake District. All right. So down to official business. We have our speakers this evening that are going to be lined up in order. We're going to bring out, for our opening comments, Forest Supervisor for the Fremont Wainema National Forest. That will be Barry Imbler. And then following that, we'll have an update from the Operations Section Chief from the IMT. That will be Brian Rhodes. Following that will be what's happening on the global scale or a big scale from our Incident Commander will be Jay Kurth. After that will be Barry Schallenberger, can't even say it now. Schallenberger, the Fire Management Officer for the Fremont Wainema National Forest, and then Bill Hunt from the Oregon Department of Forestry. Now, I know that you guys are going to have a bunch of questions, and if that's at all possible, I'd like to ask you to leave that right to the end so you'll have a presentation. Some of those questions may be answered for you, and then right at the end we'll get that taken care of. But we do have about 1 hour, and we're already 7 minutes into that. So first off, I'd like to introduce to you for our opening comments, Forest Supervisor for the Fremont Wainema National Forest, Barry Imbler.
Thank you, Sean. I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. To be honest, when it was clear yesterday, I was kind of concerned we'd have much of a turnout. But as things have clouded up a little bit, smoked up a little bit, I noticed the crowd, our anticipated audience has increased. I want to keep my comments short. As I said, we're already starting a little bit late, and I think you're more interested in what some folks have to say specific to the fires. So, I want to thank everybody, not only the folks that came from in the audience, folks with questions, but various folks from the interagency team, and from some of the folks from our forest who've shown up, ODF, and I'd love to take credit for planning this meeting, but the reality is the Modoc National Forest and their supervisor, Dee Harrelson, actually planned this and scheduled this meeting ahead of time. So I think looking north and seeing what was going on, I really appreciate that. We may be the ones you like to call and talk to, but the reality is, this, I hate to say it this way, but these aren't our fires yet. So I appreciate Dee making the effort to come up here and arrange this meeting with everybody.
Thank you, Barry. Next up will be from the California Interagency Incident Management Team 4, Operations Section Chief, who is actually looking after the steel fire. That will be Brian Rhodes.
Good evening, everyone. How are we doing? Good. So I'm just going to start out by putting a disclaimer. I'm not here to buy property in Oregon, even though I'm from California. So put your worries at ease. So I am the operations section chief for the Steel Fire. It will be known tomorrow as North Operations. And so today I just want to give you a general overview, recognizing I've only had about 1 day on the ground, but today was a really good day up on the incident. So starting out with the Lake Fire, which is part of the area that I'm responsible for. Thank you. Both the Lake Fire and the Rimrock Fire, I'm happy to say, are in patrol status. So what that means is we don't have a lot of people assigned to those. We're just monitoring them. There's a few smokes on the interior of both incidents, but in terms of actually having a firefighting force assigned to those two fires, we do not have that much resources assigned to them, which is a good thing. So what that does for us is it allows us to put all of our resources that we have assigned to the north half on the steel, and that is our focus. So today, what we were able to do is there was an area of heat up here on the northwest corner that had come out, and with our resources, we were able to secure that piece by 6 o'clock tonight. So those crews did some really good work in there, and that has been able to secure this piece on this working around the top here. All of this is pretty much held cold. I did have a chance to drive around the entire fire today. There's just a few minor pockets of heat, but we do have crews out there that are dealing with them. And so as long as the weather stays as it is, we will continue to improve on that containment in the coming days. Working around the northeast corner, very similar conditions. There was some pockets of heat as identified here on the map. That was probably the most active, but as I understand it, in previous days, this fire has been very, very active. And the 2 days that we have been here, it has not been. So it has been a blessing. It allows us to get our resources in there and actually secure the fire line and do some good work to where it doesn't create larger problems later on down the road. Today, on this south end is where we really concentrated most of our efforts. We were able to burn a lot of ground today with our resources to secure the fire's edge. And estimating we burned about 600 acres. That's why you see a fair amount of smoke here in Lakeview. It's from our incident with the winds. And so far, so good. It has been successful. What has been challenging us at night, though, is when we get adverse winds. The past 2 nights, they've had winds coming out of the northeast at night, which has been challenging this lower south end of the fire. And so with our burning today, hopefully we were able to secure that for our night resources tonight. So with that, I'm very optimistic that in the next coming days, we'll be just basically mopping up and improving all of the control lines that we have put in. Unfortunately, down on the south end, they did not have a good day as we did on the north. And so there is some challenges down here on the south end called the Cove incident. And as I understand it, they do have quite a few structures out in here, as you can see, past the 299 in between here. And we went into Unified Command with the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection at 5 o'clock this evening. So both good and bad overall on the complex, but as far as the north, the steel fire goes, it's looking very, very well. So thanks.
Thanks, Chief. Next, from my tongue tightness, I'm going to bring up California Team 4 Incident Commander Jay Kerr.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. I hope the smoke's not giving you a scratchy throat over the last few days. And we literally pulled Brian off of the fire line to come in and give you the most current information that we could. So hopefully you appreciate that update. Hopefully it brings you a little bit of comfort and some satisfaction. The things that I want to touch on aren't so much operationally, but to let you know that from my standpoint and the team that I just took over for set us up for success with a lot of great planning and a lot of effort for them to put a plan into place that Brian's been able to execute today and over the next few days. And with any luck and no wind, we'll be in good shape. So I'm never going to guarantee you anything, but I can guarantee one thing, that we will be doing our level best. And the best part about this incident so far is the interagency cooperation, both with California Department of Forestry Fire Protection and also the Oregon Department of Forestry. They've been very engaged up here with a lot of contingency things, and I'm not going to steal all of his thunder, but you know, the great thing about this is that wildfires that cross agency boundaries are probably the best example of all levels of government coming together and doing the best we can for the people of the country and things. So sometimes it doesn't go perfect, but this time it's going very, very well, and I'm quite pleased with the relationships that we're going, and they're working in all the right fashions to do the best that we can for all of you. So I feel good about that. The high pressure is not giving us any wind, which is making Brian happy, and we'll see what happens when the weather changes. That's forecast here on Wednesday into Thursday when this high pressure breaks down. But you know, there is lightning forecast again, so by no means are we out of the woods and things overall, but I think you guys are at the moment have some level of comfort, and I hope you feel that. So that's all I have for you right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Next, we'll bring up Barry Schollenberger. He is the Fire Management Officer for the Fremont Wainema National Forest.
Hello, everybody. I think I know most of you, and good to see you. Just kind of wanted to give a little wrap of what we've had happening here on the Oregon side. Lightning first started about 6 o'clock previous Sunday, and we've been going at it pretty strong ever since. And you've heard probably on the radio stations, on the newspaper and whatnot, we've you know, from South Central Oregon Fire Management Partnership, we've tried to increase our social media to reach out to you. We've tried to you know, get press releases out as much as we can. We've been very, very busy. We've had over 120 fires that we have fought in South Central Oregon, and that's Oregon Department of Forestry protected lands on private land. That's Fremont Wainema National Forest, that's Lakeview BLM, that's Hart and Sheldon National Wildlife Refuge, and that's Crater Lake National Park. We all work together, work out of our one dispatch center here in Lakeview, and it was truly what I felt was a success, was everybody working together, putting out as many of these fires as we could. So over 120 fires, about 2,000 acres burned, and so far so good. We do have one fire that is going this evening, which Cole Niter is no longer here because he's headed to fly. There's a fire by Devil's Lake on the Fish Hole Road, or just west of the Fish Hole Road, that's is very active right now. We have heavy air tankers, seaplanes, engines, crews, and the full gamut working hard to see what they can do to get that contained. We have also have a fire going on the Crater Lake National Park up in the northwest corner in heavy timber. It's about 100 acres. We had a Type 3 team on it today. Tomorrow we're giving it to a Type 2 team that is also working on the Rogue Siskiyou National Forest right next door, and they're going to take that fire and take control of that. So those firefighters will be able to be supported that way. We have been engaged with Lance Noxon and Tyler Otterson, the FMOs, and down on the Modoc National Forest right from the beginning of this, and they've kept us apprised. When this started going big and started working towards our border, we went down there, got tied in with them, and have been to their briefings, have been to a lot of discussions with them and stuff to make sure that we're protected on our side as well. So the Oregon Department of Forestry and the Forest Service have worked on a contingency line, helping do some preparation on the 4017 road on the Oregon side. They've also been working on the State Line Road, which some of you know locally as, on the California side. So a lot of hard work has been going on, and we're certainly keeping an eye on it. You heard from Ops Chief Brian Rhodes that things are looking good on the north side right now, but we're not going to let our guard down. We know that the wind could shift at any time, and things could change. We got pretty extreme conditions right now. You know, my thermometer on my rig said 93 outside, and it feels like every bit of that. And our relative humidities are less than 15%, so it's very prime right now, and we're just in really extreme conditions. We have resources still in South Central Oregon. I believe, I was trying to count before I came up here, but I believe we have 5 crews. We've got a whole bunch of engines scattered throughout Klamath and Lake counties that we're keeping an eye on things. So we're trying to stay as heavily staffed as we possibly can. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Last up, and the man you've all been waiting for, Bill Hunt from the Oregon Department of Forestry.
What was that about? I could take my hat off. Would that be, this must be what they were waiting for. So Barry kind of stole some of my thunder, but I did want to talk a little bit. Jay talked about cooperation. I concur, that's been excellent, both with our partners on the Modoc, the team, the Fremont Wainema, and landowners. A lot of concern has been centered around Collins Pine property in California, as well as should the fire move, you know, to the north. A lot of individual ranch properties and timberlands. So Barry mentioned the contingency lines that we've been building. We have about 12 miles total between the state line road and the pipeline 4017 road, if any of that makes sense. But the pipeline is kind of a key. Our thoughts are that the state line road would be kind of our first priority, and then a backup would be the pipeline, and so on. Now the good news is, as Brian described, you know, the fire is doing really good things for those of us that live in Oregon. So we feel good. Team is doing an excellent job, and as has been mentioned, if the weather kind of holds, it should be good. But as you all know, in this area, fires can get up and go, even though they seem pretty docile. So we're paying attention to that. I know the team is, and again, you know, cooperation state to state, forest to forest, you know, landowner to team, all those things I feel are going well. And so I'm pretty happy about that. And it makes our job, or my job, easier. So knock on wood, things are looking good, and I'm glad to see the turnout. And again, you know, once we have questions, I could answer some if there are some. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget your hat. Yeah, don't forget that hat. All right, so now the time is where we get to look at questions from you folks. And I know that probably most of you have a question, and there's about 25 or so of you. So with the amount of time that we have left, we're probably going to be able to answer most of your questions, if not all. But having said that, there's a format that I like to use, and what I ask of you, the audience, is what kind of ground rules would you like me to ensure are put into place or to facilitate so that we can move smoothly through this process? Anything? Well, I've been doing these for a little while now, so things that come up that are quite popular is one question at a time. So one person, one question. You can always ask a second question. And then another one is respect. Respect for each other's opinion, each other's view. We don't all share the same opinions and views. Is those two suggestions something you'd like to work with? It just keeps things going and makes sure that we're all comfortable with each other, okay? So lastly, the other way I'm going to do this for expediency is I'm going to break the room into two halves. So I'll ask for questions. I'm going to start this side because it's pretty easy. Just like 3 hands come up. If you've got 3 questions, then we'll go over to this side and we'll go backwards and forwards until everybody's had the question answered or we run out of time. Speaking of time, at the end of this meeting, we do have maps around. And there's plenty of people here for you to get a one-on-one conversation with. Also, at the front, we do have some maps for you to take. And we have a sign-in sheet for email. So if you want to get the latest, greatest information from us about these fires, put your name on that email address. We'll get that to you. We also have social media down there, Facebook sites, IncyWeb, and we can direct you to those sites. So having said all of that, I'm looking over this side, see if we have any questions on this side. We have 1 and 2. So let's start with the gentleman in the back.
You said this is transferring to a type 1 team, a federal team?
So the question is this transferring to a type 1 team? The answer is yes. If that is us, we are here, we are in place now.
Okay, does that mean hot shots?
Yes, the answer is, I don't normally answer questions, but that was a really easy one. So I'm going to hand it over to probably Brian to explain what that is to you.
Yeah, to answer your question, yes, we do have hotshot crews assigned here on the incident on the steel. They're not necessarily tied to an incident management team, so having a type 1 or a type 2 incident management team necessarily doesn't guarantee having hotshot crews on an incident. They're prioritized another way through the national system because they are a national resource. So,
are they taking their backburn orders from the incident command directly, or are they freelancing like the Berry Point?
okay, so no, so we have very clear command and control here with our incident management team, and so the hotshots work for a division supervisor. That division supervisor is responsible for a particular geographic area on the map. Those division supervisors then work for what is called a branch director, and that branch director works for the operations chief. So ultimately, all of the hotshot crews assigned on the steel incident ultimately report to me.
So if there's a order to burn a block, it's going to come from you then?
That is correct. They can make the recommendation. We have an internal team process in place to validate whether or not that actually needs to be done. And depending on my determination, other factors such as weather, fire behavior, is it necessary? What is the actual fire dictating? Do we need to do it? We don't necessarily like to do it if we don't have to. But as in the case today, we had favorable wind conditions, and so we saw an opportunity, and we took the opportunity, and it paid some big dividends for us. So, but that direction specific to the hotshot crews comes from me. Does that answer your question?
It does. I hope that that's followed through. We're old hat at this already, so.
Yeah, I understand, and if you have specific questions, I'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one after the meeting. Maybe a little bit more in detail, hopefully to answer any other concerns that you have.
All right, thank you. I totally understand follow-on questions about the same subject. I'm good with that if you guys are good with that. Okay, ma'am.
My question's for Brian also.
Right.
I just want to know the red fire flame up closest on the line. What is the actual status of that?
You're talking about this right here? Yeah.
We're kind of saying everything else is pretty controlled. What's the status of that?
Yeah, this is out. This is contained. So this was a small fire that had started before even the team got here. Even though it does show red, it's actually contained.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, like I said, transition. We are working with products. This will change tomorrow, as Brian alluded to. We're going to name and orient things a little bit differently. So when you go onto the social media platforms, in particular IncyWeb, you'll see the new maps, and you'll be able to get a better idea of what we've got going on out there. Okay, coming over to this side, 3 questions. 1.
Those
Yes,
small
sir.
fires up by the state line, are they all contained?
Are all the fires up at state line contained? And the answer is yes. Any other questions on this side? Yes, ma'am.
Can you show approximately where the Collins Pine property is on that map?
That question is, where is the Collins Pine property on the map?
Roughly, you know, they own a large chunk of land off the Crowder Flat Road, kind of generally in this area. And then, as you're aware, you know, some scattered, or not scattered, but less blocked up land right near the border. This would be the border. I'm sure you keyed in on that. Did that answer that question?
I think so.
And I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know what they call that particular block. It has, I think they refer to it as maybe the California block. I don't know.
Modoc track.
Modoc.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I'll take one more question from this side before I flop over. Yes, sir.
Do you anticipate your complex with the new activity, say in Blythe, that you'll expand that into Oregon?
Do we anticipate an expansion of the complex into Oregon?
Well, yeah, to take on any new starts north of this.
Any new starts north of the Oregon border? Okay.
So, the short answer is no. I have a delegation of authority from the forest supervisor for the Modoc National Forest, and we're protecting or providing that suppression response to about 1.3 million acres of the Modoc National Forest, which is the whole Modoc except for the Warner Mountain Range. So my hope is that we don't expand further north and that we get somebody else in that can actually provide a good, complete command and control system that doesn't spread anybody out too far, and we can make sure that all of our firefighters are well planned and given good assignments, as well as provide effective response to the incidents and make sure that things go as they're supposed to and minimize that impact on all of you folks.
Thank you. Okay, I want to come back over to this side. Is there any further questions on this side? Yes, sir.
What percentage of the attack is direct or as opposed to indirect?
Direct and indirect attack.
So right now, my best estimation of direct versus indirect attack, it's about 50-50 right now. So, you know, a lot of it is weather dependent. Sometimes we have to do indirect tactics back off to roads that make us successful. Other times, based on the weather conditions, it allows us to get up close and be direct with the fire. It really is dependent on weather and what the fire behavior is doing. So we like to be able to do direct tactics. Those are the safest when possible, but the fire behavior doesn't always lend itself to that. So right now it's about 50-50.
Okay, do you have an acreage estimate for how many acres are a result of firing?
In terms of overall firing, I don't have a good estimate because they do a lot of different type of firing, but as I alluded to today, the firing operation that we did today down on the southeast corner of the steel, if you will, I estimate that about 600 acres of burning, and we had wind at our back, so basically the fire just burned it back into itself. So that's how it ended up. Other than that, I couldn't answer your question in terms of how much firing the previous team has done and how many acres that was. I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sorry.
Any more questions over on this side? Yes, sir.
What is the long-range wind forecast?
What is the long-range wind forecast?
Is it going to continue out of the north and out of the west, or we got something changing?
So under this high pressure system, the winds are probably going to stay pretty much the same as they presently are. You know, there'll be that diurnal typical normal local wind patterns, which I know are not necessarily always consistent. My experience here on the Modoc last year and the year before have taught me that lesson for certain. But I do know that any kind of changes in the wind, when we have unburned fuel out there and on that open edge, presents an opportunity for the fire to move pretty aggressively. So those small changes are just as critical as any big wind event. I did allude to a change in the weather on Wednesday to Thursday, is what the meteorologists are passing on to us. And anytime you go from a high pressure to a low pressure, that change usually results in some kind of wind. It's a little too far out for me to give you any real detailed answers or anything else, but I do know that there's that opportunity for thunderstorms. Thunderstorms have wind, and then there may be some kind of a pressure gradient. I'm not certain about that. Does that answer your question, sir?
Thank you. One more question over here before I go back over to the other side. Yes, sir.
Did you say the fire was advancing southeast today and yesterday? Or?
Yes. Yeah, it, actually you can see it here on the map. We had what we call a slop over. This was the original control line, the fire slop below this road system here called the 46 road. And then it also slopped here. The map is a little bit too large to show the slop overs in here, but yeah, the fire wants to push either south or southeast, especially at night with those that north wind component. So that's been our concern and what we've been trying to button up. Like I said, it helps the north half of the incident at night, but on the south half, it makes things for an interesting shift. So,
well, the wind shifted at about 2 o'clock. It's blowing out of the south now.
yeah, so it's been, when I got here this morning, the wind was out of the south-southeast, and it was pretty much that way until about 2 o'clock. And then it got very calm, and then the wind started getting a little southwest, but then it switched right back out of the south again. But there were long periods of time today where the wind, there was no wind, it was dead calm.
Right, so. No, just like all of Yoakum and Fall Valley, Dry Creek watershed's full of smoke, so it's blowing north right now.
Yeah, so late this afternoon, once I came out and I could look back on the steel, I could definitely see that the general winds were more out of the south. Yep, southwest, and it was definitely blowing north. Yep.
Great, thank you. Coming back over to this side. 1, 2, 3. Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
On that steel fire on the north portion of that, has that been a creeping fire or has it been crowning?
Is the north side of the steel fire a creeping fire or a crowning fire?
Yeah, so since I've been out here on this incident, I have not seen any crown fire whatsoever on the incident. Today, interior, where most of the heat was being generated, I did see some group torching, but there has been no sustained crown runs that I have seen. Now, in previous days, during the past team's tenure, I understand that this got real active, and that might have been a day where you might have seen running crown fire, but I wasn't able to confirm that with the previous team. So, but since I've been here, most of it has been either a backing fire or real low intensity fire. It's actually done a lot of good, but there have been pockets where there has been some group or single tree torching, and then the fire will calm back down. Because of the high pressure system and the way the smoke is, it's really keeping a lid on things, so it doesn't allow good venting of the fire and for fire to become plume dominated. So as long as we maintain the high pressure, at least that's what's forecasted, at least for the next 1 or 2 more days, hopefully we'll have the same conditions on the north end, and which is really helping us in gaining the containment of the steel incident.
So, if it would, is it a mixed stand then? Is it juniper and pine, or what's the main?
Yeah, so a lot of it is, some of it is old pine, some of it is mixed juniper and pine, and then some of it is juniper. So it's kind of all over the board. There is obviously a grass component in there, and big sage. So big sage loves fire. This is what I've learned day one. So.
All right, thank you. So, yours next.
How far is it to the border from the leading edge north edge of that fire?
The distance between the leading edge of the steel fire to the Oregon border.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Coincidentally, there's a road sign right here at one of the intersections. So it says half mile to the Oregon border. So where this fire edge actually is I'd estimate about a mile to a mile and a half from the Oregon border at this time.
Thank you. And down here, sir.
At what point do you guys figure you're gonna move your overhead feet?
When do we figure as a management team, or will we move our resources to Lakeview?
So I can answer that question. So we were actually, when we initially got here, we were thinking about doing that. And last night, we talked to some locals, talked to the forest, drive time. Right now, where the steel incident is in relation to our base camp, there's no advantage for us to shorten drive times by moving a satellite camp up here. So at this point, we're still going to remain where we're at right now and just support all of the troops out of our incident command post, or incident command base.
Which is where?
Yeah, so let me get my bearings here. Here's Canby. Yeah, so it's roughly right in here. It's about halfway between the cove and the steel, more towards the south end, but it's centrally located to the forest, and the forest has given us the responsibility also for initial attack and any fires that start on the Modoc. So it's centrally located to where the forest is.
Okay, thank you. Going to come back over to here to see if we have any more questions. Yep.
How current is that perimeter map on the steel?
How current is the perimeter map?
The map was flown, our IR was flown last night, and so as it's current as about 2200 last night. So yeah, it's the most up-to-date information that we have. Of course, this map gets updated tonight, and we'll update the perimeter accordingly. And in addition to this, we also have mapping which shows infrared, so it shows actually fire progression from the previous day.
So your INSI web page said they were going to fire it to the Crowder Flat Road. Did that happen?
It did not. So they didn't have favorable winds to do that, and that's not our plan right now. Right now, the opportunity, as it stands with the weather at night, is we were able to secure this lower end, so they will need to burn it tonight. And if they get that done, we will look at going direct. Direct is always the best option, and if that is not the case, or we can't do that, then our alternate plan is to bring it out to the Crowder Flat Road.
Any more questions over on this side? Nope. All right, let's come back over here. Any questions on this side? Nope. Then I'm hearing that everybody is satisfied so far. Is that good? A good fair assumption? All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. To close out our meeting, no, I'm not going to close out our meeting with Barry. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming in. There is some brand new technology that is available that we are lucky enough to be on the leading edge with. It's called Collector, and it's through ArcGIS. Terminology, I know. But I'm hoping in the next couple of days going to get some good training on that. And once we get that, it's like a social media platform, if you will. So when you go to your Facebook, once we understand it, we'll be able to put links in there. So to answer some of your questions, that will be real-time information. So as information comes back from the field, from the chiefs, the section chiefs, the division chiefs, and through, gosh, I forgot what they're called now. FOBS, what's the proper name for a FOBS? Field observer, thank you. That was me, yeah. It's an old elderly person moment right there. So once we get all that information, we will get that in this new app called Collector, and then we'll be able to upload that on our social media sites. So look for that. If it's not there, blame me because I'm not up on the technology. But that is certainly my goal, to get a handle on that with this fire. So that's real-time, incident mapping, etc.
So is it going to be on Facebook then under the Modoc July Complex?
Yes, we typically use, there's a couple of things here, that we typically will use as our first instance the Modoc National Forest Facebook. If there are other Facebook sites, and I have somebody back at the command post working on this, if there are other favorable sites where people go to get their information, please let us know, and we will share that specifically with those people so then they can share it with their viewership. The one thing I need to caution everybody with, obviously with social media, comments, etc., opinions are rife. If you go to the Modoc or INCIWeb, that is the best, most current information that we have. It may be a little bit out of date sometimes because things happen and we have to deal with the immediacy and then play catch up. So bear that in mind, and that was obviously what happened today with the information about tactical firing operations. If they could happen or may happen, it didn't, so that's old news. So that will be updated, and again, we only can give you as much as we are told at that point. So thank you all once again very much for coming. Sir?
I have a point of clarification, I guess. I asked a question earlier about those 4 up on the border, and they're taken care of. But did I hear correctly that the big fire is like within a mile or half a mile of the border?
Correct. It's about 1.5 miles.
Actually, I think it's further than that.
The reason we work so well together is we can say, I think it's this, and he can say, I think it's that. It's actually probably 3 to 4 miles from the border. So,
north?
Right now it is not headed north, and in fact, due to great work, a lot of this northern perimeter is dozer lined. So the current flow has been pushing it to the south and to the east. So for people in Oregon, that's great. For folks concerned about it in California, that it's more of a concern. And also that concern of it maybe crossing Crowder Flat into, Collins Pine, etc. But knock on wood, again, the current weather pattern, you've heard a lot about that. It is favorable both for direct action as well as, kind of limiting fire spread to the north.
So are you saying that the rim rock and that other little fire out there, they're out?
Yes. The fire that I guess Oregon Department of Forestry would be concerned about is the steel fire. But, I guess the dog and pony show is that, we are cooperating really well. We have contingency lines that we've all built together with the Forest Service locally and the team. So, we feel comfortable right now.
Thank you. And just to confirm once again, this map will look different tomorrow. What I'm being told is all these little black fires, they're not going to be there. You're not going to see them on the on the map, because they're taken care of. What we will see is the fires that we're actually dealing with. We'll also see black and red lines on there. So the black lines means that we have areas of containment, and the red line will be open fire line, but it doesn't mean to say that we've got huge columns of flame. It just means that we haven't secured it cold and it's out. All right? Update from the IC. Here we go.
So I do want to, I know it's not your immediate concern by any means, but your community down here in Ayden has fire that has come up to the edge of 299 and is on that northern edge of Ayden. And so while we're very concerned and understand everything up here, I just want to let you know what else is going on in this theater of operations and things. So CAL FIRE is engaged with us on that side. We have a good working relationship and things down there, and things are going okay. We have some evacuations in place and things, but we're doing our level best to take care of all of you as well as take care of your neighbors down to the south. So that's why I stepped out and answered the phone. I apologize for leaving, but I do need to keep apprised of what's going on.
Thank you. And with that said, we are about 10 minutes till time. I'd like to say thank you to our host, thank you to all the members of staff who showed up to answer questions, and thank you to you guys also for being here and listening for this update. As I said, we've got a couple of people around. If you want some one-on-one time, please approach those folks and hopefully you'll get more information. Thank you. Have a good evening.